All right, on Thursday at about 12:30, local police were called to 16 Wangara Street, Morphett Vale, to check on the welfare of the 35-year-old female occupant who hadn't been seen by the person for a few days. When police attended, they found what appeared to be a forced entry at the front door, and on gaining entry to the premises found the 35-year-old occupant dead on a floor within the house. Initially, it was unclear from the circumstances as to the cause of death, and it was treated as an unexplained death. And as a result, Major Crime Investigation Branch, local police, forensic teams and the pathologist attended, and within a short time were able to confirm that indeed it was a homicide. The motive for the homicide isn't clear at this time, but on speaking to neighbours, on speaking to neighbours and people in the area, a number of witnesses were identified. Sadly, some of those witnesses had heard the disturbances the night before, and depending on which witness, it's sometime between 5 and 11 p.m. But there was multiple occasions when signs of disturbance, an altercation was heard, a person threatening to kill the occupant, and at one point a female was heard to cry for help. Sadly, the police were not contacted, and it was the following day the victim was found within her unit dead. Last night, when police were in attendance at the scene, a 38-year-old male person, who's the ex-partner of the deceased, attended a cordon point in response to information that had been released on the media earlier, and he was inquiring about the welfare of the occupant. Detectives accompanied that person to a police station and conducted lengthy interviews with him, and he was subsequently arrested and charged with the murder and taken to the City Watch House in Adelaide, where he's charged and he'll appear in court later today. The investigation continued into the early hours of this morning, and then detectives have returned here today to conduct searches of the park, speak to other witnesses, people in surrounding streets, collecting CCTV, and inquiries are being conducted elsewhere. In particular, what we need to know is details of anybody that has attended 16 Wangara Street on the Wednesday or the Thursday morning. In particular, anybody who saw a 38-year-old very tall man wearing a black Adidas top, light coloured track pants and black sneakers, who attended the premises between 5 p.m. and 11 p.m. That's critical to the investigation. We believe that the offender travelled from his home at Beverley into the city on a bus, caught the train to Colonnades and caught a bus out to nearby and then walked the remainder to the house. It's possible that person was in the area here, either at the house, in the park at the streets, with unconfirmed sightings of a similar man in the park late into the evening, and we believe he caught a bus back to Colonnades and returned on the same route. We know partway through that journey he had a conversation with a security officer, and we're following up on that, but anybody who saw that man, if they could contact police immediately, would be very helpful to the investigation. I'm happy to take your questions.
How would you describe this attack?
This poor woman died a really horrible, violent death, and yeah, it's just terrible.
Had you known about this former partner before? Had he come to the house? Were you aware of him? Had there been restraining orders?
I don't want to say a lot about it because obviously it's going to be, some of it's going to form evidence and it will be the subject of a trial. But it's fair to say that he's the ex-partner of this lady, and violence had been a feature of their previous relationship.
Can you just talk us through what you know about this woman? Does she have any children?
She's a 35-year-old mum. She's lived at the house for a few months, and been estranged from her previous partner for some time.
Do you have kids?
3.
And when you're looking at the park, are you looking for a weapon? Do you think a weapon was involved at all?
The woman had an injury to her body, which is unexplained as to how that injury came to be. And it was a sufficient injury to leave an amount of blood at the scene, so we're not sure whether a weapon was used or whether that's as a result of a fall during the attack.
Can you see how old her children are and who's looking after them now?
I can find that out for you after.
So when the man arrived back last night, what sort of a route did he take then? Was he by car?
He was brought to the area by other people, and we've spoken to those people and they've been cooperative with us.
Was he aware of the injuries that he caused to her?
I beg your pardon?
Was he aware of just how serious the injuries were that he caused?
I won't go into a discussion with him, but yeah, it was interesting that he would return to the scene and inquire about her well-being.
Were you following up on him anyway? Was he a suspect at that stage?
Yes, he was.
Is there any comment on the other witnesses that heard the altercation and threats to kill but didn't contact police?
Look, I'm grateful that those people have told us what they've heard, but it is a sad reflection on society that people would hear that and not ring the police.
And is that
Police.
a reflection on how we sometimes view domestic violence in terms of what happens in the home stays in the home? Is that why people may remain quiet? And should we break that stigma?
Look, I'm at a complete loss to understand why anybody wouldn't do something and go to the aid or ensure that somebody went to the aid of a woman who was screaming for help.
Is there anything that tells you how the man knew that the woman was here? Like, had she told him, or...?
That'll form part of the investigation.
Was the front door wide open or was it closed?
When police arrived, the screen door was damaged and ajar, but the inside door was still closed.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.